Here's a story from today's Newsday, the daily newspaper from Long Island, New York. Training teachers on gender, state guidelines regarding LGBTQ new for educators. The state's updated guidelines recommend that schools address students by their chosen names and pronouns without requiring parental consent, and that students can use the restroom that aligns with their gender identity. In other words, boys can use the girls' restroom. They also discussed how to deal with community backlash, you think? Many may be unaware of the fact that the ex-wives of Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos have donated $23 million to what are called school-based health centers. I ran for political office as a grassroots candidate because I found out that they were giving HPV shots to children without parental knowledge or consent at these school-based health centers. And I found out that it's actually legal. The school-based health centers are supposed to be for low-income families. But the thing in New York State is that low-income families, first of all, they already have free medical care via Medicaid, and they can't attend school unless they've had a bunch of shots. So what exactly is this donation for? This is a secret recording from a few months ago of New York teachers talking about working with kids and talking about transgender issues.
And so one of the courses that I was teaching was reaching out to our gay and transgender students, seeing where they are, and kind of growing up, there's a lot of opportunity for kids to go on hormone blockers, which it pauses their development, so that they have time for them to maybe have a few extra years to kind of think about where they want to go. Because the longer that you go through adolescence and puberty, the less you can do if that child really does identify as transgender and wants to be able to go a different avenue. Being able to do that's a great conversation. And if that student develops some autonomy and wants to be able to make a big decision about whether it's surgery or going on hormones or whatnot, that transition is going to be a little bit more challenging than if they were able to have that validation earlier on. The roster always says their birth names, so when I call that student by their first name, it's the name that they want. But if I have to call home, I have to use she, her pronouns, and use that student's assigned name.
So back to the school-based health centers. So why are they giving this money to the school-based health centers? And it occurred to me, it's like, oh, so they could give the hormone treatments to the kids at school behind the parents' backs. This might seem off topic, but bear with me. In 2020, I got to meet Gary Null, and Gary Null advised me to do a lesson plan on ALEC, and I never did. So this is my apology to him. You should all follow him. He has videos on YouTube. But anyway, ALEC is just basically, if they pass a law in one state, there's mechanisms in place to push it throughout the country. With that concept in mind, here's a video I did a few months ago about Washington State. Washington State House approves bill authorizing hiding of children seeking transgender medical intervention from parents. If a minor under the age of 18 runs away from home, government officials need to tell the parents where the minor is, unless a compelling reason applies. According to this proposed law, a compelling reason is when a minor is seeking or receiving protective healthcare services or transgender medical interventions. It's so important that we accept and love our kids for who they are. And adults 18 and over have the right to do what they want with their bodies. But given the dangers of these medical procedures, and I encourage you to research this for yourself, not only is this proposed law an astonishing violation of parental rights, it appears to be, given the profitability of these medical procedures, and I'm not an attorney and I welcome attorneys to opine on this, it appears to be a violation of federal trafficking laws. What do you think? I'm Elizabeth Glass. And here is a video by the renowned cardiologist, Dr. Peter McCullough.
Well, Private, it's on my Substack and on my Twitter feed, was recently updated to overlay the autism infinity symbol that was the symbol of the Autism Society since 1999. And in the upgrade, it said this is to include neurodiversity. Neurodiversity. So why autism? Why not stroke or multiple sclerosis or some other condition? Well, this is what we've learned. A paper by Vandermeesen from the Netherlands now nearly 15 years ago pointed out that young people going for gender change were autistic. At least 20% had the clinical diagnosis of autism. And now more recently, a big survey, 600,000 people, LGBT survey, surveyed using standard psychometric instruments, and guess what? LGBT, particularly the T, is off the Richter scale for autism and autism spectrum disorder.
As the parent of an autistic young adult, this is very disturbing. It seems like there is an agenda of adults who are trying to engage in inappropriate activities with children. So this is a problem. Number one, why is this happening? And number two, what do we do about it? To understand the present often requires looking at our past.
Instilling all the lies and hatred into the younger generation.
The young people are used today to do the American Cultural Revolution, to turn the kids basically not to trust their parents anymore. And say, oh, my parents don't understand me, I'm confused, so I need to turn to my teachers, turn to other authority figures. Look at the American Cultural Revolution to say how many similarities are there.
Communism will win. That's not a joke. That will happen.
You are happy with what was happening in the USSR between 1917.
We make a critique of it. That's what we're Maoists. We make a critique of it in order to improve socialism the next time it comes around and throws people like your ass into a labor camp.
Yesterday, I asked ChatGPT, are there any similarities between today's woke revolution and Chairman Mao's cultural revolution of the 1960s? And it wrote back, how long do you have?
Like with my political campaign, there is power in numbers. Organize with other parents and fight back. I'm Elizabeth Glass.